Rise of Kingdoms is a game with many commanders, and today I'll be putting them all into a very simple tier list of 3 main criteria. These criteria will be how they are performing right now, whether or not I think they are a good investment for the future, and if they serve any other purposes. If you are thinking of investing in any commanders in the game, this is definitely a video you must watch. Like I said in the intro, I'm going to be putting these commanders in a nice tier list. It's going to be very easy for everyone to follow along, so there probably won't be too many timestamps in the video, maybe like 3 or 4. If you do want to skip to any part, feel free to do so. We will switch over to the tier list now, and I'm going to explain each tier. Back with the tier list, I really love this website Tier Maker. It really does help to make a nice, simplified version of the tier list for everyone just to, I guess, get a gauge of these commanders. So the top tier are the best commanders currently. They are good investments, they probably serve some other purpose, and they are just smashing it in the open field. Very simple, almost every player should be trying to invest in these commanders, and they are really good and will hold you a lot of value. The great commanders may be really good investments or really good on the field, but they may not serve another purpose, or they may be somewhat okay investments or really good on the field right now. Specific commanders means they're really only good investments for certain situations, or they serve a very specific purpose, obviously, as the name suggests. The bad commanders are commanders that either aren't the best investment currently but may trade okay, or are an okay investment but don't trade too well. The just no commanders are commanders that are pretty much downright garbage and you don't want to get them at all. Starting off with Ethelfled, I think that she overall currently is a great commander. In terms of investments, she's like the best of the best because she's literally free. But in terms of performance currently in this meta, her debuff is kind of being outclassed by a few other commanders that have the same debuff and more. However, I think she's still very good for like a 6th or 7th March, to the point where since she's free, she's going to go on that great commanders tier list. Next up, we got Nevsky, and Nevsky's certainly one of the best commanders. He offers a lot of utility, he's got a debuff, massive damage, lots of stats, and I think he's certainly a good commander. Definitely a good investment, I don't think he's going to fall off anytime soon. And on top of all that, he is a good rally. So he even has something else that goes with his amazing field capabilities. Alexander the Great is a great commander, pun not intended. He's actually very powerful in the field, I think. A little bit underrated. Because his relic will be coming soon, he'll be getting another boost to that. That's why he's in the great commanders. But in terms of investments, there are better infantry commanders. However, I don't know how you would get through pre-season of Conquest without Alexander the Great. Attila is the next commander. He's certainly a specific commander. Really only good if you're going for 3 or 4 cav marches. He's lacking skill damage, obviously, and he's missing a few other things that I would like on a like a cav commander. Cao Cao is a bad commander. His relic makes him somewhat usable, but I don't think he's worth it overall. There are definitely better cav options. Chandragupta is probably gonna go in. I'm gonna put him in the specific commanders. Really good as like a 2nd cav march, but in terms of an investment, I don't know how long he will stay in that position, and there are probably still some better options out there. I think that Charlemagne is garbage and definitely has no use in the game at all. Charles Martel, specific commander, he is in the gold key, so I probably wouldn't be putting gold heads in him. He does have a relic, but his relic's a bit underwhelming. But he's performing somewhat okay in the meta right now, and he's in gold key, so kind of easy to get. CJ, he is a fairly poor investment, but he is trading quite well right now. I think he's just above Attila. If you have a CJ, he's probably trading pretty good now, but within like a year or so, I don't think CJ is really going to be very good. Cleopatra only serves the purpose of gathering. Constantine's going in specific commanders. He's a really good pre-season of Conquest garrison. He's really good in Canyon, and he serves some purpose in the field as like a buff march. He's more of like a very early season of Conquest commander, but other than that, I wouldn't really be using him. Definitely whale-oriented. Gilgamesh is, I think, above Attila. He is a very specific commander for archers. He's got amazing debuffs, so if you're a pure archer player like myself, Gilgamesh is really good. He's fairly tanky and he's got some health, but his damage factor is a bit lackluster, and he doesn't have any march speed, so I don't really like that. YSS is actually going to go on my bad commanders. Even though he serves as a garrison, I just don't think he's that amazing of a garrison anymore. You've got commanders like Heraclius now who are just better versions of YSS in a way, and YSS Heraclius doesn't perform too well. Zenobia's trash in the field. She's a fairly trash investment, but she's in the best infantry garrison, so she's going on there. Elcid's he's not even a bad commander. I don't think you should really be investing in him. Frederick is also going in that just no category. Khan is going in the specific commanders. We've seen with his relic, he actually trades pretty well now, which is quite surprising, but I mean, I just go with the reports. I just don't think Khan's an amazing investment. That's why he's in specific commanders, because I feel like there are better options out there that will bring you more value in the future, but Khan is certainly trading quite well at the moment. Hannibal Barker is a just no, not worth your money. I think Harold is probably a great commander, purely because he's trading very well on the field right now. If he wasn't, he would be in the specific commanders. He would be in the best commanders if he was a better investment, maybe if he had some type of debuff, but he is kind of just an all-damage commander, and I really wouldn't be investing in him too much, but if you do have him, he's certainly a great commander. Bertrand, I'm going to put it like just in front of Khan. He's not the worst investment, but he's not the best, and I guess he's an okay rally, so he's really just in that specific average commanders. Guan's going at the front of great commanders, purely because I think Guan does have a lot to bring to the field, but he's kind of getting outdated with these new archers, who I think actually kind of benefit in some ways from being silenced. For example, LIANG is going to do damage to people that silence him, so that may be a pretty big Guan counter. Speaking of Guan, we got Scipio, his best primary. Scipio's definitely a best commander. He's got March speed, he's got high stats, high damage. He definitely is a good investment, and he's trading amazingly. He can be used as a garrison for a pass as well, so Scipio is certainly not a bad commander. Pakal is going in the specific commanders. He's trading, in my opinion, just a tad bit worse than Harold, and he's less flexible than Harold. However, Pakal is definitely good with the Tarek rally, and he's also not a bad commander in general for the field. Leonidas is going in the bad commanders, probably the top of bad commanders. He's not trading the worst, but he's not trading quite good. I think you'll get like 1-to-1 trades with him. He's really only good with Guan though, so unless you don't have anything else to put your Guan with, Leo is a pretty useless commander, and it's not the best investment. Honda's going to go on the great commanders. He's actually trading very, very well at the moment, but I don't think he's the best investment. There are definitely going to be better options soon, and Mehmed is like another alternative to Honda. Nebuchadnezzar is also going in great commanders. After looking over ZHUGE's kit, I think Nebu is not going to be a bad pair with him. Nebu's got March speed and defense, and got fairly high damage. So for now, I think Nebu will stay as a usable and a pretty good commander. Artemisia, someone I made a video on yesterday, is definitely going to go at the front of great commanders. I just don't like how she is really not flexible, but she's trading so well at the moment, I can't put her in anything lower than that. And I don't think she's a very good investment. She would be in specific commanders if she wasn't trading as good as she is right now, but I think soon she will be falling down to this tier. Suleiman is a just no. I've never seen a good Suleiman report. I think Cyrus is probably a great commander. He's very, very good investment in my opinion. He's got debuffs, he's got fairly high damage, March speed, and he's a rage engine. He's also got some defensive stats and a lot of attack. And he's also got fairly good trades. I use Cyrus personally, and I'm not disappointed with him. I don't think that he will stay up here as long either, but I think he is probably just a tad bit worse than the Guan in terms of great commanders. Joan Prime is certainly one of the best commanders. High damage, she buffs your marches, she's got a lot of March speed, she's got some health. She pairs super, super well with that Nevsky, so I definitely think that Joan Prime is worth being in this best commanders tier. Ishida's a just no. Jadwiga is only a garrison, so I'm going to put her in the bad commanders. She's kind of being outpaced by Heraclius now. Caesar is actually a specific commander in my opinion. So Caesar is one of those commanders who has really high all damage, and he has some very specific pairs that trade really well. And one of those pairs is actually XY, the next commander on the list. XY is definitely one of the, I think, great commanders. He's very, very good for a second cav march. Otherwise, I wouldn't really be using him. He trades quite well, and he's not the worst investment. He can also be used as a rally. Not the best rally anymore, but he can be used as one. Lubu is a just no. Mehmed is probably up there with the best commanders. I want to say, no, Mehmed's a great commander. Mehmed has got a really good relic. Definitely a very powerful commander, and probably a pretty good consideration for most newer players to Season of Conquest. Since he's very easy to get just from the gold chest, you'd probably have him 5-5-1-1 already. Minamoto's going in the best commanders. Minamoto is one of those commanders that's actually very, very powerful in my opinion. Minamoto's new relic is crazy, and I think that he's very accessible for most players. If you're free to play, unfortunately, you can't get him. Specific commanders, Mulan's going to go in here. She's really good as a 7th March. Otherwise, I probably would be skipping a Mulan. But as a 7th March, she's kind of insane. I think that Ragnar is probably a bad commander. Just the only thing it can be used for is a rally as like a Takeda substitute. Ramses is a specific commander, probably the worst of them. I think that he's trading okay and he's an okay investment because he does have a defense debuff. But there are just better options out there, and that's why he's at the bottom of the specific commanders. Richard, I think, is probably a little bit better than Zeno in these commanders, purely because he does serve another purpose as the best AoE barb farming commander. He's also pretty good in Canyon, And I mean, he's a very good debuff march in terms of slowing your opponents and making them deal less damage. But he is not a very good trader, so he's not trading very good at the moment, and there are better options to Richard. Saladin's probably just behind Chandragupta on the specific commanders. He's very good with Ethelfled, who is, is very easy to get. He's also a very good third cav march in my opinion. Flavius is not trading too bad in terms of garrisons. He's probably within the best infantry garrison, so I'm going to put him just ahead of Zenobia, since Zenobia is kind of like a slightly worse Flavius in a way, because Flavius is a better garrison. Jan Ziska is probably also going in this specific commander's tier list. I probably wouldn't be getting him for the field, but he's definitely the meta garrison. I'll put him probably just above Flavius and just above Zenobia. I think Sargon's a best commander. He's actually really, really strong. I think he's a bit underrated. Definitely a commander I would be considering, especially if you've got more than 3 total marches. Tariq Ibn Ziyad, definitely a great commander. He is probably just a tad bit worse than maybe Nebu. I think that he's a really good rally, which puts him up there. He's also fairly good in the open field. I've been destroyed by a few Tariqs, which is pretty funny, to be honest. I didn't expect he'd be that strong. And he's got crazy high damage factor. Boudica is certainly going in that best commander's tier. I think Boudica is very, very strong. She's obviously the best archer commander currently in game, and I mean, you probably can't get better than her currently. Henry's also going to go in that best commanders tier list. I think he is also very, very good, and he's also one of the best archer commanders in the game. The position on Henry may change once LIANG releases. I think he will probably drop down to that great commanders tier list, but for now, he will be staying up there. I think he is very powerful. We've got Moctezuma, he's definitely a just no. Heraclius is probably just a little bit worse than Jan Ziska in terms of garrison. He's not too bad. I mean, there are definitely better options, but if you just want an all-round garrison, he's pretty good. Both the ranged commanders, who I'm going to be using on my Siege Restart account, are going into these specific commanders. I think they're pretty good, but they're very, very, very niche. Amanatore is going to go on specific commanders. She's trading quite well, but I don't think she's a very good investment. She will probably be okay with the Queen DIDO garrison, but Queen DIDO doesn't seem to be anything groundbreaking. I don't think it's going to change the garrison meta too much. Sundok is a just no. Takeda is going in bad commanders because he's really only used for rallies nowadays, and even then there are better options. Like I think Nevsky Mina or Nevsky with Attila is just better. But even if you like that Attila Takeda rally, it's only used for rallies. Theodora is a just no. I don't think she's a very powerful garrison anymore. She's okay as a city garrison, but other than that, she's definitely not worth it. Thutmose at the time of this recording hasn't been buffed. He's going in the bad commanders, probably the best of the worst. But I mean, he's a pre-season of Conquest commander with very underwhelming damage factor. If his damage factor was better, we may have seen a different story. Tamiris is definitely going in that specific commander's tier list, probably the best of the specific commanders, purely because she is super good as a 6th march. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't dabble too much in Tamiris. Same thing with Trajan, he's good as a 6th or 7th march. I'd probably put him maybe just in between Amanatore and Gilgamesh. He's not too bad. William is a great commander in my opinion. He's probably very good for a 2nd cav march. I think he's probably a little bit better than Chandragupta. May hold a little bit more value since he does have AoE, and I don't mind William as a commander. Wuzetian is going to go in that bad commanders tier list. Only reason she's not in the just no is purely because she is one of those commanders that is really good as a KVK2 garrison. Otherwise, I wouldn't really be using her. YSG is going to go in these great commanders, probably just behind Mehmed. Purely because YSG, I don't think is going to lose his value that much when ZHUGE releases. Since, I mean, how else would you get through pre-season of Conquest? I'm going to clean the tier list up now, put it in a bit of a better order, and then I'll get right back to you. Now, here is the complete, utter, and final tier list for every commander. I reorganized it. You may see I shuffled some commanders around. Biggest changes, I decided I think CJ is actually a bad investment nowadays. I just re-looked over some reports I got. I spoke to a few people that have him. He's really not that amazing. And Richard, I think, just probably isn't a specific commander because he's not that amazing either. I feel like he just trades too badly to be a commander that most players should even consider investing in any way. I think that I did shuffle around the Boudica. I think that the CPO and Nevsky are slightly better than Boudica, though I do think Boudica beats Joan and Sargon, and I think Henry is probably better than Minamoto. Great commanders, I think Artemisia's still up there. She trades so well. She's on the verge of being a best commander, but just because I don't think she's a very good investment is why she's still there. In terms of the other commanders, I mean, I think they're in a pretty good position. Tamara stayed top of the specific commanders. I reshuffled the garrisons to be at the bottom purely because most players don't really invest in garrisons. And I put Bertrand and Khan a little bit further down the list. I also put Constantine at the very end of specific commanders. This was on purpose. He's really only used for Canyon in Season of Conquest. and maybe a buff march, but other than that, he's not a very good commander. And I think that other than those changes, nothing much changed here. I think Caesar is actually oddly better than every commander below him because he's actually trading really, really well. Just Nose didn't change at all because it doesn't matter what order they're in, they all just suck anyways. Now this tier list really shows the overall ability of every commander. It also shows a little bit about their investments because, for example, Artemisia is doing really, really good right now, but I don't think she's an amazing investment. Another example is Tamara. She's one of those commanders that's really, really specific. But when you use her, she shines. When you use her in the correct manner, when you've got multiple marches, she's crazy good. Other than that, she's one of those commanders you don't really touch. So that's really how this tier list works. If it was an investment tier list, Tamaris may be a tier higher. If it was a field tier list, Tamaris may be a tier lower. It just really depends on what type of tier list we're making, and this is kind of a mixture of the two. Take this as the overall ranking for every single commander. I've now put my opinions out for every commander. This tier list was mainly a mixture of investments and performance in the field, plus some other stuff. So if you did enjoy, I do hope that you consider watching another one of my videos, or you join my live stream, which is happening this Saturday, or most countries it's Friday, at 6 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can Google whatever time that is in your area, and I'm going to be doing Champions of Olympia, but every time I lose, I spin a wheel of punishments. These punishments were decided by you guys, and I'm really not excited for my own body, but I'm sure it will be a very fun stream for everyone else. If you enjoyed, I do hope that I see you in the next one.